Yes, for her intervention from the World Economic Forum. I now give the floor to Mr. Laurent Hubert from the Action on Smoking and Health.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And I'm making this statement on behalf of Action on Smoking and Health and the global alliance called the Stop Tobacco Pollution Alliance. First, on the proposed objective, the objective should be simple and avoid qualifiers such as, quote, in accordance with domestic or international law, end of quote, or, quote, with undue encumbrance on economic activity, end of quote. Such caveats, if desired, can be laid out in other sections of the document. In terms of the core obligations, control measures, and voluntary approaches, the production of plastic materials or products that are problematic, single-use, toxic, and unnecessary plastic should be banned outright. And the consummate example of such products is cigarette filters, which are made of plastic, cellulose acetate, do not mitigate the health impacts of smoking, hence they are unnecessary, and they end up being discarded into the environment at the rate of 4.5 trillion cigarette filters, cigarette butts annually, despite being deadly to marine life. Also, the recycling of cigarette filters is not an option. Industry volunteer measures have not made a difference to the volume of discarded cigarette filters and the threat they pose to the environment. And the so-called biodegradable filters would not be a viable form of harm reductions, as those would continue to cause significant environmental contamination from tobacco products. In addition, the companies responsible for creating the problem should not be considered as stakeholders equal to those organizations that are trying to stop it. A few speakers have mentioned that process probably before. It matters who's who's participating in the treaty. It is crucial to recognize the inherent conflict of interest and avoid the interference in policy making. And one conflict of interest model that must be considered and could be quite useful is the one included in Article 5.3 of the World Health Organization Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, the FCTC. For this article, recognizes the inherent conflict of interest between public health and the tobacco industry and requires parties to exclude the tobacco industry from policy making. Hence, to maintain coherence in global governance, tobacco industry should also be excluded from the negotiations of this important treaty to end plastic pollution. Finally, we urge the members of the committee to ground these negotiations in human rights norms. Plastic pollution is a threat to many internationally agreed upon rights, including the right to health, the right to a healthy environment, and development. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank Mr. Laurent Hubert from the Action on Smoking and Health for his intervention, and I now give the floor to Ms. Jody Russell from the Business Coalition for a Global